I used to struggle with poor garden soil, dry, compacted, and just, really lacking life. My plants looked stunted no matter how much compost or store-bought fertilizer I added. Honestly, I was ready to give up, until I stumbled upon a bizarre trick that completely changed everything. I buried one simple organic ingredient in my garden bed, and within a week my plants literally tripled in size. The leaves turned greener, stems got thicker, and everything, from my tomatoes to kale, just exploded with growth. So what did I bury? It wasn't compost, manure, or fertilizer. It was a homemade mix of kitchen scraps, shredded cardboard, and aged grass clippings, layered right into the soil like a lasagna of nutrients. And the result was unlike anything I've seen before. Let me walk you through what I did and why it works. First, I dug shallow trenches around the root zone of my raised beds, careful not to disturb the main roots. Then I layered in chopped banana peels, used coffee grounds, bits of stale bread, shredded cardboard, and a few rotting leaves I had lying around. On top of that, I added a generous layer of grass clippings that had dried out for about a week. No mold, just a natural nitrogen source. I watered it all in, covered it with mulch, and left it alone. That's it. No turning, no special tools, no fertilizer. And within 3 days the change was visible. So what's the science behind this? When you bury organic matter directly in the soil, you're creating a localized composting process. As these materials break down, they release nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, and a host of micronutrients right where the plant roots can access them. Even better, earthworms and beneficial microbes swarm to the site to help digest the material, aerate the soil, and create a living, breathing root zone. This is a shortcut to soil building, and honestly, it's far more effective than just laying compost on top. One ingredient that made a huge difference: the shredded cardboard. Most people think of it as trash, but it's a slow-release carbon source that balances the high nitrogen from food scraps and greens. It feeds fungi and microbes that form a network underground, helping your plants absorb more water and nutrients. Plus, when you mulch over it, the cardboard helps retain moisture and suppress weeds naturally. The most surprising thing, I didn't see any pests or rot. Because the material was buried and layered properly, it never attracted flies or rodents. The soil temperature increased slightly, just enough to speed up decomposition, and everything stayed balanced. By day 7, my tomato plants had nearly doubled in height, and the new growth on my kale was deep green and glossy. By week 2, I noticed earthworms everywhere, which is always a sign your soil is healing. Now, I make it a habit to bury small amounts of kitchen waste and garden trimmings every couple of weeks in different areas of the bed. Think of it like feeding the soil instead of the plants. Once your soil is alive and thriving, the plants take care of themselves. If your garden feels lifeless or your plants are slow growing, skip the expensive fertilizers and try this method. Start small, just one trench or hole, and observe the results. Not only is this zero waste and chemical free, but it also helps you repurpose scraps that would otherwise end up in the trash. This one habit turned my garden around. It's sustainable, it's simple, and most importantly, it works. If you're tired of lifeless soil and underperforming crops, bury this trash treasure trove in your garden, and honestly, just watch your plants respond with insane growth. You don't need miracle products, just the right mix of nature, patience, and a little buried secret.